Welcome to the second part of the Readpeak test. Before I had a live stream, it's actually one of the first videos of my channel, and in there I initially wanted to start some testing of different DSP platforms before I became a father, a beautiful son, and I took a bit of a leave. So today I actually want to pick up where we left off back in August. New people checking in, my name is Michael. I've been a programmatic expert for about almost 8 years now. I've always loved different DSPs, different platforms, innovations, working with publishers, etc. Looking for those niche options to get like the max performance out of your budget. And I'm also a big fan of getting more transparency in the market, sharing my knowledge to advertisers that would really want to start opting out of the Google Ads GDN display network and want to get more hands-on their own branding type of campaigns, or where banners are served, and exploring all different types of options to get the brand and their products known to potential customers, really. And in doing so, I've come across many DSPs in the last couple of years. Been a big fan of some, been less of a fan of some others. Still love to test a couple of the platforms that I've never got around to, and you can already see that I keep the names a little bit hidden. I do it on purpose because, of course, that's all the content that I want to show in the upcoming months. As if you look at my LinkedIn page, then you can see that I've started sharing some of my knowledge, getting presentations out there, sharing some of the names, including Adform, Platform 161, and some of the more unknown platforms like Outmove or Quantcast is also a big name to me, but apparently in a lot of areas people don't really know the platform. And so there are more and more platforms out there. I love to find out what makes it different to the already existing platforms, because they look so similar to each other, unless you get to the very niche platforms. And that's one of the things that we'll get into today, because Readpeak is one of those niche DSPs. Readpeak is a true native DSP trying to reinvent, well, not reinvent, actually trying to get the true native platform and the true native ad right back out there, instead of the automated native solutions that Google and other platforms rightfully so adopted and made it a part of their platform. Yeah, I mean, it works really well. It's very easy for advertisers to start the native advertisements as well. My personal issue with it is that the position of those certain native ads are not in the position you would want a native ad to be. To me, for example, a native ad, and sorry, this is a bit, now you start to get to know me a bit, I just dive head first into certain topics. But let's get back on the native topic. So to me, native, it's already in the word. It should be native to the website. Your ad should be native to the website that you're advertising. For a potential customer or a consumer, and thus a visitor of that website, let's say the Telegraph, or maybe for the Dutch viewers, voetbalzone.nl or Autoweek, the visitor should feel that what you're showing them should be native to the page that they're visiting. Not necessarily meaning that they would easily scroll across. I mean, it's still different content than what's on there, but it should be right in between articles, or at the position of an article, or maybe in the position of an image of an article. And it should, for that reason, should garnish a ton of attention to that ad, especially if you manage to implement certain content techniques that would just trigger someone to read it and be intrigued to click on it or visit your website, what you're actually wanting to tell them. So for me, it's more of like showing a content strategy in a very beautiful position where you twist and turn your own brand a little bit to fit the look and feel of the website that you're advertising on, to not disturb the visitor's experience, if that makes sense, but to convince them or intrigue them to the point that they're like, very interested by what this brand has to offer. And that's where Readpeak comes in. Because instead of the programmatic positions that are automated, Readpeak has built, apparently, a DSP. They come from the Nordics, and they've built a DSP around the true native format. And in the live stream, you could have already seen that it's very intuitive, to the point that you don't need a lot of skill to set up a campaign. It's very easy to distinguish and create your campaign, whether it's focused more towards your brand, or like a story or content that you want to push, like a blog content, or you want to push product content. So it's a more sales type of native ad. And what they've done is, especially for me, this is a test in the Netherlands. So I'll talk about what they've done in the Netherlands. What they've done is that they've partnered up with some of the premium domains, which is very smart, because every advertiser wants to be on the best or the most visited websites, and don't worry about brand safety. I mean, that's one of the biggest issues using display at the moment, especially in the programmatic space with Google Ads. All those blacklists and block lists, and every time you need to domain thousands and thousands and thousands of domains because they just don't make sense, or they're just literal garbage. And Readpeak done it very smartly. So they've got like a very exclusive list. I think there's not even 200 domains on there. We'll probably see it. It intrigued me. I got Ernst Dirkswager actually messaged me, and he told me about this, and immediately I was interested, and I wanted to know what it was all about. And luckily for me, I also have a side project from the business of my wife that just fit this platform perfect. I'm very curious. After the 2 weeks that we've done, I don't expect big things, for example, but there are some little things that I'm very curious to learn about and to come to a conclusion. Would I use and recommend this DSP in the future, or is it actually something that you should skip? So someone maybe come up with a nice a good or bad type of innuendo. So let's not wait any longer and just dive into the campaigns. So as mentioned, it's very intuitive. You open it up and you just immediately get the dashboard in front of you. I mean, that's what every advertiser wants to see anyway. They just want to see what's going on and what is the performance. For an agency perspective, this is where you can get your different clients. So it also works very easily for building those reports if you're an agency and getting the API out there and automate your reports, I guess. So I ran this somewhere in August. So we can see that my campaign ran from Monday the 26th of August right up until, oh, there was actually one more click on Thursday the 12th. So as you can see, I had a spend of about 500 euros and I got 874 clicks out of it. And that brings the total CPC to about 58 cents and 0.23% CTR. So generally speaking, some of you might know the CPC for a native display account is actually pretty low, especially looking at the type of domains that this has probably been delivering impressions on. I've worked with True Native before. I've worked a lot of True Native campaigns, direct deals, but then the CPM was a bit higher as well. The CTR was about the same, but the CPC got pretty high because the CPM was about 8 to 10 euros for those premium positions right dead smack in the middle of content. So this is actually pretty good, but you know, you can only know if it's good if some of those clicks actually translate to sessions. So let's see how many of those clicks actually translated into sessions. I've just used the standard UTM code, like the UTM source medium, and just gave it a little bit of my own flavor. You can build it the way you want it, obviously. I don't expect that there's going to be a lot of traffic from this campaign because GA4, especially with the whole cookieless era thing, it's very difficult to get those clicks be translated into sessions. The cookies necessarily, they don't load on time, especially on this domain. For my wife, we've been struggling getting it, setting it up correctly. So there we are, Readpeak right there. I expect for it should be, it's nice if it's at least like 50% sessions, you know, that would be good. sadly that's not the case. So what do we see here? We see that we have about 250 sessions. So we know that there's about 800 clicks. They translated in about 250 sessions, so roughly 30%. That's not great. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. What is great is that it's almost entirely new users. So that's, for me, it's pretty good. Although some of you might say, yeah, but in GA4, I mean, if someone deletes their cookies, which in a lot of browsers, it gets done automatically, to say Safari, for example, then, I mean, new users don't necessarily mean anything. And I mean fair. But for this specific particular campaign with only 2 weeks, I'd say probably all new users. So my campaign ran for 500 euros. I got about 246 totally new customers to my website that have not been on the website before, prior to this campaign. So it's about 2 euros for every new user. It's not bad. Let's see what they've actually been up to. They've been on the website for about 8 seconds. About 56 actually took the time to look on the website. Generally, if you visit the website of my wife, in about 10 seconds, you know immediately what it's about. Let me show you guys. You immediately know within a couple of seconds, all right, this is either I am the person for this website or not entirely. So it's very clear. So that's why I've made several goals to distinguish the quality of traffic. And as you can see, there's quite a drop off, because we have like 246 new users, about 250 sessions. We only have 78 of those actually looking on the website for at least 10 seconds for this to trigger, you know, and then the drop off gets even worse with 30 seconds. And well, it's not great, but it's what it is. That some of them, none of them viewed an item. Generally speaking, I think what might have happened is they clicked on the ad. Most of them went to a blog page, as you'll see in a minute, and then they either visited, read it, scrolled, immediately decided this is nothing for me, or they were like, well, it is what it is. So yeah, not great performance on that end, but I mean, we only had 2 weeks, so it was mainly to get the brand name out there, and I guess that's actually for about 2 euros a pop, a user. That's pretty decent. I mean, they clicked on the domain, so that's, generally speaking, they clicked on it, so they must have seen either the brand name, they visited the website. So if I were to build on this, that was actually a nice core or support that I could build on from this area. So now let's see what we've built. So we got 2 types of campaigns. I had a product and I have native content. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You can build a campaign that's more towards sales and thus product native. You can also build it towards content. I had some activity goals, as you can see, time spent, and on the blog pages, the content pages, it was for about a minute, which makes sense because they're very small blogs. And of course, on the product page, your time isn't very long on that page if you're not very interested in it. But let's dive in this a little bit deeper, because I have not done so yet. Very interesting. So I can just click it open. It just shows me the results I see, but this is filtered from start till the 13th. That makes no sense. Why isn't this the same as what I filtered here? All right, interesting. So I don't think I can I filter this dimension anywhere? I cannot. All right, interesting. On a weekly basis, what has happened? So the first week we spent quite a lot, let's say, and then spend is the same. The CTR dropped. So the yellow line is spent. And what is the big block? Now, because I can't change this, this gets a little bit disformed. That's really annoying. That's quite annoying. This should be automatically be tied to the date I selected over here. So that's actually a bit less. That makes no sense. Lifetime budget bid. This actually means 1 CPC that I wanted to pay €1 for a click. All right, so now we're getting into the details. How was my money spent? It wasn't spent evenly, as you can see over here. It definitely tailored more towards the last two. and it makes sense because it's been in the middle of the CPC, it's been almost similar or a bit lower. It might have had a little bit less click-through engagement, but the amount of conversions coming out of it was way better. Although looking at CPA, I don't know why. Interesting. In general, looking at the different domains, so these are all the publishers. I did not exclude one of them, and as you can see, these are actually pretty for the Dutchies under us. These are pretty okay to premium type of content. So we got 24 Kitchen, we got the AD.nl, we got the very local news tablet from Amsterdam, we got Autoweek, Autovisie. You know, we got something from everything. We got food, we got newspapers, we got local news, a lot of tabloids, I think. We actually got finance, more food, we got fashion and lifestyle, quite random type of domain. All right, interesting. So it's a little bit of everything. Makes sense because everybody can own a horse, right? So which inventory was bought the most? Interesting. The Telegraaf. Okay. So for you guys that don't know, the Telegraaf is actually a pretty big news outlet from the Netherlands that's been around for years and years. I guess there's a lot of inventory, but it's not necessarily the #1 domain coming back on display campaigns, although it's a very trusted domain, so it's very brand safe actually. So is the AD.nl. Jan Magazine is also fine. National Geographic, I mean, it's fine. I would not expect my audience to be there. Same with Dutch News. Interesting. This is a football website, I think. 1908. Isn't that the Feyenoord domain? The football domain? Yeah. So this is from for sports fans. I would not expect any equestrian lovers on that domain. So interesting that it got, yeah, it makes sense. It almost had no interaction at all. So looking here, you can also see that this domain, I think, is this the best? Which got me the most conversions? Want.nl. So cooking, local news, right? Interesting. And does it change depending on what happens if I click on one of these? Interesting. So this is actually pretty cool. Because normally in a lot of the DSPs that I've used, it's pretty big thing to then A/B test or ABC test, and then having it to filter in every different platform and just go through so many screens and hoops and things to get this data out of the platform. And here it's just offered. I'll just click on it and boom, now it's all filtered just for this variation within this ad group. Boom, done. I can just see where did my conversions come from and how does it change between the different ads and variations. The only thing that you might be missing is some feedback, like some AI type feedback, why it outperformed the other variations. Like, is it the title? Was it the text? Was it the landing page, for example? Why did it outperform the other two? You know, very interesting. And I guess it also works the other way around. So I can just click on this domain and see which variation and ad group actually work best on this domain. Oh, this is so cool, because if you wanted to do native campaigns and you're not sure if you want to do it in direct deals, for example, and you just want to keep control on your campaign, then you can just run 1 or 2 longer type of campaigns and then run through this type of data after the first month, for example, and just click on the domain and then start building different campaigns for those type of domains. For Pippa, for example, if I look at this, I would just bundle up the different type of cooking domains, for example. I would just categorize them. That's something I would really love to see in this platform. Categorize them and then be able to build different campaigns within those categories for future campaigns, and then alter all my creations to fit the needs or how to fit the neurological component on triggering visitors on those domain. You know, just utilize every bit of data that's in this platform, because this is really easy to just click through it and just see, I can just filter one of it or a couple of them and just see why does this work the best, or see, all right, so my dog products work the best and I should keep it more general, or I should just push forward a certain product, or maybe I should very interesting to see how this works, because I can just click either an ad group or I can just click a domain. This is very interesting to me. I think everybody using this would interpret it differently, but for me, this I would just look at it and see how can I bundle this, and then have like a native campaign on top of like a display campaign within this segment, for example. Very interesting. Very interesting. Whoa, that's a big difference actually. So this variation that basically is this is very strong advertising. It just says 100% natural care for human and animal alike, free from chemicals like silicones, parabens, and discover our different soaps and body bars. Shop here. So this is actually pretty activating, but also pretty salesy. Whereas the more content leaning towards is like, why Pippa Equestrian? They also like this as well. Discover our mission and product. So this was very triggering as well. This even got 2 measured page views. But then we also have had one person clicking on this one and spending about almost 2.5 minutes on my domain. And this is just a copy of what's on the website, stating a natural care for dogs and horses, discover now, etc., etc. Interesting. So from this, I can gather that this is clicked on the least, but the engagement on the website will be the highest. It will actually put me in quite a pickle what to choose. And these are very steered towards one type of audience, mainly the equestrians, the horse owners, of which is almost no data available, mind you. Google does say big animals, but the audience for horses is small to not existent. So it doesn't surprise me here that the data for this ad group is just all over the place. But also here you can see that the why question is the best performing one. So I guess the audience within the native, even for the product one, they just want to see why. So you can just see that if you use True Native and use it in a way to share content, just like you would do on, for example, a news outlet, it has like headlines and triggering with questions and trying to ask a question or put you a prompt in front of you and its readers to trigger a reaction and read what the answer was. That's how you should use True Native as well. And that's what we've seen in the first couple of ad groups. Surprisingly, in the first ad group, the more salesy type of content worked, but the second one was also with a why question. So again, why choose for Pippa? Bang, 0.48% CTR, almost twice as good as every other one in this ad group. Interesting. But then the one that actually says something about natural care products for dogs, that has like the highest engagement on my website. So this might have to do with the landing page. So maybe my landing page was terrible and thus the engagement was shot after the variation. See, so that's also very much essential data for you to get feedback from, like why does it vary so much? And then we have the fourth one that was more towards the body bars. So I had like a general one, I had one aimed at horses, I had one aimed for dogs, and I had aimed one for human care, because we sell products for horses, dogs, and humans alike. So. And here the CTR is more the same. This one says natural care for every skin. I guess people are really triggered by essential oils and getting the essential care, but then again, soap for the sensitive skin. I guess there's a big audience for that, looking at like the engagement. But we have something we need to work on our landing pages and our content, looking at like what it did for our website. Interesting. All right, it's actually pretty clever. But like I said, I would love for it that this could just be altered. Very annoying that I can't alter this now. I'm looking at future campaigns. I can actually put in like what would be my max lifetime spent for this specific domain, and do I want to alter my bids? For example, if you can see that something is overbidding in your opinion, you can just lower the bid and just lower your CPC. Of course, the CPCs and CPMs, they're a bit of a double-edged sword, because too low of a CPC and the quality of clicks is just terrible. But at the same time, you don't want to overpay on your CPCs as well. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, where you really have to look at like what's the ideal CPC or CPMs. In here, it's not too bad. It's okay. This is actually really nice. The other thing that I really want to give back to Readpeak is make those publishers categorize and make it so that I can just easily categorize it. Just put in like a second column or make it optional. I don't know, but make it so that I can categorize it on like, is it cooking, news, local news? All right, I guess the other campaign is more of the same. This is the native campaign and native content. This doesn't even show up. Let's put the week as well. So, this, yeah, interesting. So the CTRs on this one are quite low, like a lot lower. Only 2 ad groups, as the content that we have isn't great. And I think we were promoting 2 different pages. What to do if my horse has a fungus infection, what to do against that, and how to recognize it. We use several titles to trigger that reaction. Where does this lead to? This leads to a blog page. Makes sense. What I did, by the way, which you can clearly see, is I've used the same image as I've done on the blog page. I would recommend everybody doing this. If you're going to push true native content, especially, it doesn't really matter actually whether it's programmatic, like automated native, or true native content. If you're going to push content out there to within native ads and you want to get like new visitors to your website that don't recognize you at all, make the experience as seamless as you can. One of the ways to do so is using the same image, like the same main image that you have in the blog post that you've used. Don't alter it. If you use like a different image, then there's an immediate disconnect. Like, hey, this is not what I clicked on. Makes no sense. Like if you click article on a website, on a news website as well, it doesn't change the image. The image it's the same one. It leads you to that page. So it should be the same with native content. It should lead you, it should be a natural flowing funnel to that page. With like product native, where you have to sell something or you go to selling something, you could do it a little bit different, I guess. That's where you have a little bit more playroom, a little bit more wiggle room, you know. But again, it's still the same outliner. So you should make it as seamless as possible. That's where the kicker is with true native. If you can do that, and if you can build like the content for it, then this can really work for your brand. So let's see, this is pretty even Steven. Yes, the shortest title wins. Yeah, shampoo against shampoo. So this is a title that offers like a solution for the problem within the title. So that's very triggering. Whereas the other 2 are more like what to do. How do I recognize it? But this offers the solution in the title, and apparently that worked the best. Although the audience clicking on this one apparently are a bit more, you could describe them as more desperate, in need of what to do, looking at like the time spent on the website. But again, it's too little data, man. It only ran for about 2 weeks, and we had a bit of an issue getting like these type of goals live. So then looking at the dogs, they were, I guess people don't really care. The image doesn't really work as well. I tried triggering them with a dog looking into the page. Did the same with the blog, but I guess it just doesn't really work, man. And we don't really have like dog domains or pet domains. Why do I see the same domains? So this tells me that this platform mostly has inventory from the top 3, and the rest is, I don't know. What's the deal, man? Why do I get most inventory from the Telegraaf, Jan, and National Geographic? It's the same. Let me open the other campaign in a different tab. Go to campaign page. We'll just do it this way then. fine. Why is it the same? All right, so we got a little bit, it's a little bit different. So you got on the 4th place, we got AD, whereas it's only like on the 6th place with the product natives. And then I guess, I mean, quote is quite high up here, where it's pretty low here. I think what would be very interesting for this platform to do is to be able to categorize it, and then either on certain categories, get different domains up there if that's more your cup of tea, because now it's just the Telegraph, Jan, and National Geographic. In my professional opinion, if I were to see this after 2 weeks or after a week, I would just take them out of it, decrease the bits to see what happens if all the other domains got to shine a little bit more. What would actually happen with my CPAs and engagement? Because looking at like the engagement, it's not on the Telegraph at all. I mean, I've spent the most money there, but it's just not there. So I'd rather have it that I had more impressions on living, furnituring your house, and those type of things. But well, you know, it is what it is. Very interesting. So I got a ton of data back. We didn't get a lot of performance out of it. It ran for about 2 weeks with only 500 euros of budget. The goal of the campaign was to experience, like, how intuitive is the platform, how easy is it to set up a campaign, what does it offer in terms of like optimizations, is there like an AI algorithm in there, what publishers are in there, what can I get back for data, how can I use the data in the platform to improve different campaigns, what can I find within the platform, within the content that I'm sharing, what does it give back to me? If I don't get like any revenue out of it, what does it give in terms of like value for me to build on different campaigns for future campaigns? How does it stand against the other campaigns in the programmatic landscape in terms of CPMs, CPCs, etc., etc.? At the same time, you would have like loved to see at least like one purchase. You know, then the whole atmosphere would be a lot more positive. No, but overall, I think as a DSP, setting it up, I did it within an hour. Within an hour, I got 2 campaigns. I got, let's see how many different, I got 6 ad groups with 3, 6, 10, 13, 16, 18 variations. That's a lot. And I did that within the hour. That's just excellent because that's also with the help of AI. So even if your content team only gives you like 2 or 3 variations, the AI in the platform really helps you in building it out into different and more variations, which I really recommend doing. Especially use at least like 2 or 3, I'd say, because that just gives you a little bit more data, and try to play with different titles and don't play with the image too much. If you play with the image, then don't play with the title, vice versa. Make it either you play with the text or you play with the image. Don't use a completely different ad because that defeats the point. That should be its own ad group, actually. So setting up the campaign, definitely for me a 10. Looking at like the different data from like the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I guess it's almost the entire alphabet. Definitely a 9.5 as well. I mean, it's just a lot, but it just gives me a lot of data as well. Setting up conversion goals and making it a bit more performance based, for me, it felt like a bit of a hassle. I also had to work a lot with support, which was great, by the way. Support is definitely a good one on this platform. They responded really quickly, very personal. There wasn't really a bot as well. Actually got to speak to a person. They were really helping me out back with setting up the conversions. And the demo before you start is also really informative. So in terms of support, it's also 10. Setting up conversion goals and making it a bit more a performance type of platform, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a nice gimmick for now. You can definitely use it. You can definitely set it up, but it's not server side for one. It's not enhanced conversions too. You can just see that not a lot of performance is coming out of it. I mean, it will probably differ for every advertiser, but don't see this as something that you'll get a ton of purchases out of it. Don't make that the goal of using this platform. Then you're fine for your first 2 campaigns. I can definitely see myself building it more towards purchase type of goals, but not in the beginning. And definitely not being the end goal, like paid search. So that's about a 6, I'd say. In terms of reporting, 7.5. I mean, this is just an overall standard report, nothing new. This is the least you can expect, right? So this should be the standard. Same with this type of data, that should be the standard. This is for me something that's actually negative points. This is really annoying. Why can't I change this? That's really annoying. A very positive point is how easy it is to click the different reports here. The thing that might be missing for me is building an API. So maybe there should be something here to click and possibly automate it. But this is ridiculously awesome. So this is what for me puts it up to 7.5, maybe an 8 even. But this is like a ton of data just in a very clear overview. To me, this is very easy to read and optimize as well. So if this was a longer campaign, this would not take me that long at all. I would just be able to click it open after a couple of weeks, be like, nope, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this does work, this doesn't work. Bang, 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 bang. All right. Oh man, I'm overspending on the Telegraph. Bang, I'll just put it on a max lifetime spend, or just pull out of it at all. Just make it so it doesn't spend on it at all anymore. By example, you can also lower the bid to the point that it just doesn't send out any bid requests. Increase CPCs on domains that don't get as much impression share. It's just easy to do. What would really help is if this would be categorized for me. That's a bit missing. And for a lot of new advertisers on the platform that aren't necessarily familiar with all these different types of domains, Readpeak, definitely something you should be looking into. Categorize these domains for users. And I would love to see the development in these areas where you get like a message or somewhere in the campaign where you can just click on and just get some recommendations in what to change in a title or an image, or why is it that this one outperformed the other one, for example. What's the outline? What's the reason that it performed better than the other? That's currently missing. It's also very easy to do. You can just activate, deactivate. You can just add more medias. You can just deactivate the different media types as well. Interesting. Yeah, so I've actually targeted the segments. I forgot about that. So it also had like several segments to target. So I'm just going to be honest, there's nothing really to critique about. The only thing that I could be critical about is in terms of like the performance to my domain, but there's also so much wrong with my domain that I was sending traffic to that it's not entirely the fault at Readpeak. So conclusive, would I rate it a 10 out of 10? No. Would I rate it a 9 out of 10? No. Would I rate it an 8 out of 10? No. I would rate this an 8.5. I would also conclude it to the point that I am adding this to my media mix next year, and I will definitely include it in the campaign strategies for Pippa. I also recommend it to everyone in the programmatic landscape to definitely look into the platform because it's cheap, not very time consuming. The experiment gives you a lot of data back. It gets you on premium domains, and it gives you a ton of data back in terms of like what content works and what doesn't work. It also requires you to think about the flow of your website and how to utilize the different behavior of your consumers. That's that, man. It's an easy platform to use. If there's anything you want to ask me, or if there's anything you feel like I've missed, let me know in the comments or let me know in the DM. If you want to have more information on different DSPs or what I should test next, also let me know in the DM or the comments. Yeah, hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all those things. Keep on buying those impressions. Bye-bye.